I really think people are looking at their lives saying, what is necessary? What do I need? What can I afford? And I think they're coming up with answers that are maybe different than what we've considered in the past. So I think that this show in particular is a reflection of the different types of ideas we have going in the city, and it's also affording us a lot more time to think about what's important. So I've been working on the show for about 6 to 7 months, and so I thought about who I felt would represent the city in a positive way, in a very articulate and considered way, and we worked together. Most of the work was created for the show specifically, so we really were, while everyone was working independently, they felt the responsibility of the larger group at hand in what we were doing. So it sounds a little grandiose, but most of the acquaintance is through my gallery and the experiences I have working there.
One of our artists in our program is from Detroit, George Rom, and we have been looking at a lot of artists' works from Detroit because he is based in Hamtramck. So we saw about 20 to 30 studios when we went out to Detroit in the Russell Industrial Complex and also in different locations of abandoned buildings where artists had created work, and in different kind of unconventional structures and where they were producing work and also exhibiting work. And we thought that the way that people were creating there was very organic and unregulated, and it was pushing some ideas that maybe wouldn't be able to be executed fully in a space that had more limitations.
So I've been in this space 6 years, and it was only around maybe 3 years ago that I even thought, wow, might as well use the walls and have shows. Basically, it was like a sort of shipping center for David LaChapelle's works. And I mean, if you would have seen the space before we opened the gallery, I mean, it was like boxes were everywhere, and his prints were here, and everything was leaning on the walls. I mean, it was kind of cool photography, and because he curated it, I had this whole new audience of curators and sort of connoisseurs of photography coming into the space for the first time, and inevitably they would ask me about who I represented, and David's name would come up, and then they were like, oh, I like David, and really he's in art now, wow, I didn't know that. And so there's this sort of cross-pollination is sort of what I start to see happening, and then the younger artists get to be associated with David, so it's sort of nice to have this spectrum of the very young to the very established. And well, the piece that resonates a lot with me is the photograph of the balloons, because I always thought it was such a metaphor for uplifting. It's happy, it's light. There's so many feelings you get when you look at it. That's a great piece for me. And then the piece in the back, which is all the sort of like explosion of fireworks, but sort of done through perforation and graphite. It's a very quiet piece, but every time I look at it, it just seems so calming to me, and just in some ways just so serene and just really beautiful and delicate. And I also love Christina Galasso's work, where she does all these little collages and intimate collages, and where she lays the pieces down on the ground and they stay there for weeks and weeks and weeks, and she moves them ever so slightly. So I learned so much about the process of making art through these young artists, and the show for me is a success before it was even up, as far as I'm concerned.